Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This video is in reference to the last two videos I made and really all of the videos I've made since I came back to YouTube. I want to talk about speaking up for what you believe in and how I used to not do that. Even a few years ago, I would have stayed silent on a topic like this. I have a deep people-pleasing shadow and I hate to make people angry. To the point where I would have silenced my own self and my own beliefs just to appease others. I had a deep fear of rejection and a deep fear of abandonment, and I literally changed who I was just to make other people happy. I wouldn't have the courage to speak up about something I cared so deeply about. But now that I've gone through my grief episode and I've really been on this big journey of self-discovery, I feel like it's important to stand up for what you believe in. I'm trying to counter the perfectionist in me, which wants everybody to like me, which isn't truly how the world works. You will never please everybody. What it comes down to is what I value. And for me, I value empathy, grace, and the intrinsic value in other people, the humanness in us all. Now, I'm not trying to say that your opinion is invalid or wrong, and I will get to that, so please bear with me and keep watching this video, please. To me, it's not about behaviors or how someone acts. It's about the person underneath it all. I've learned to give myself grace for the mistakes that I've made and the mistakes that I continue to make because I'm human. And as a result, I can extend that grace onto others when I see them making mistakes. That's my core value. That doesn't have to be your core value. I used to be a very passive-aggressive person, and it was all about keeping score. And I'm not going to sit here and say that that shadow doesn't rear its ugly head, because it does. I'm human. I make mistakes too. What I really want to talk about is this difference between good and bad. If you think about it, in theory, the difference between good and bad is all make-em-ups. It's really something that someone decided and we all just have to collectively agree on it, but we don't. It's a subjective thing. There's this parable by Alan Watts about a farmer, and he loses a horse one day, and all of his neighbors come around and they say, "Oh, that's so bad, that's so bad." And the farmer says, "Ah, good or bad, hard to say." And when the next day they wake up and the horse returns to the farm with 7 other wild horses. And the neighbors are saying, "Oh, how fortunate, that's so great." The farmer says, "Good or bad, hard to say." The farmer's son is riding one of the horses and falls off and breaks his leg. And again, the neighbors come around, they're like, "Oh, that's so sad, that's so bad, I'm so sorry." The farmer says, "Good or bad, hard to say." The next day, there's a draft, and his son is exempt from it because he has a broken leg. The neighbors say, "Oh, how fortunate." The farmer says, "Good or bad, hard to say." It's really hard to interpret if something is good or bad. Often it's both at the same time. We have this normative truth where we collectively agree on what's bad, right? Think Nazis, SA, predators, harming animals. Like, we can say that that's collectively, we agree that's bad. That's the normative truth. But it's not that black and white. And in my video, I started it off by asking if those content creators, not the viewers, I said the content creators that I feel are taking it too far, I asked if they were good guys or bad guys. They're both. And so am I. And that's how the world works in my eyes. I might think that that is going too far, and you might disagree, and both of those things can coexist at the same time. But too often, we like to say one is right and one is wrong. One is good, one is bad. World is not that black and white. I talk a lot about shadow work on this channel, and when you do shadow work, you realize that the people that you are talking about, the behaviors that you're talking about, you are displaying them yourself. I am always aware of how much I'm displaying these behaviors. I mentioned how I'm putting energy into the videos about these content creators. Like, I am aware of the shadows I display because I'm a human, and I will always display these behaviors. What we see, the world within, the world without, we will see ourselves projected onto our reality, and the things that trigger us are behaviors that we are displaying in one way or another. Maybe we're not displaying it in the exact same way. I always say, don't look at the exact behavior of the shadow. It's looking at the underlying reason for that shadow. What is triggering that behavior? What fear? Because it's almost always down to a fear. What fear of rejection, fear of abandonment, fear of connection and community? What fear is triggering that? We are all capable of these things. We are capable of all things. We are all things. I'm not better than anyone else. I'm not claiming to be better than anyone else. And I don't believe anyone else is better than anyone else either. I think that when we get into that hierarchy structure of who is more worthy or better, we lose touch with our humanity, with our intrinsic value. That's a direct result of capitalism and the way that we structure the world. And it's easy to see how something is good or bad or better than something or worse than something. That's really the reality we live in. I can't deny that that structure exists and that's hard to break free from, but I don't agree with it. I believe that we are all intrinsically worthy. Nothing that you do, nothing that you say, nothing that you produce will make you more worthy or less worthy. Nothing that you do or don't do will make you less worthy. You can't make yourself more worthy by doing more things or saying the right things or making people more happy. Like, your innate worthiness as a human, you are good enough. You are enough as you are, regardless of your mistakes, regardless of your past, regardless of the good things you do for the world, regardless of the bad things you've done or do. Like, you're still innately worthy to me. And that's my core value. Our actions do matter, and there are consequences for your actions, but they don't make you any less worthy. The way that our system is built is that when you make mistakes, when you do things that are normative, like the normative truth believes that they're wrong, you're punished for it. And there's just so much gray area in life that it just kind of gets frustrating for me sometimes. I spent so much of my life masking who I was. I was a social chameleon. I wanted to be more worthy. I wanted to be more liked because I had this innate belief that I was not worthy as I was. I wasn't doing enough. I wasn't giving enough. I wasn't popular enough. I wasn't likable enough. So I changed who I was to please others. I didn't feel worthy of love. I didn't feel worthy of connection. I did not like who I was. But I've gone on a very long journey through grief, and I have learned that I am innately worthy. We are all intrinsically valuable human beings. We all have something to contribute. We are all worthy of love. This is not a belief that everyone holds, and I understand that, but that is where I'm at in my life right now. I am trying to be at a point where people can have different beliefs and there can be the discomfort of opposing views and still coexist. Because we are so often put into this competitor role with others or opposing views when we're still both humans. We're still both people that have there's so much in common. We have so much in common, but yet we are on opposite sides. And I don't like that dichotomy view. I don't like that. I want to focus on what makes us connected, because I believe we're all connected. Your beliefs about Jess don't make me think any differently about you as a person. You are allowed to think what you want and believe what you want and do what you want. I started that video calling out the behaviors that I thought were wrong, but that doesn't mean that I'm saying that you can't, like, me wanting that to not happen doesn't mean that it's wrong. It's such a tricky subject to talk about because we are so stuck in this hierarchy view and so stuck in this right or wrong, good or bad view, and I fall victim to it too. But I don't think that that's always the right way to look at things. There I am again, right or wrong. See? It's just baked into our culture. When someone disappoints you, it feels like a personal slap in the face. You've invested your time and energy into believing them and supporting them, and that feels like a personal attack, but it's not about you. It's about them. Differentiating this is hard even for me to do. Sometimes it feels like it's a reflection of how stupid you are, or how naive you are, or how much you cared and you were rejected. But it's not about you, it's not about me. I was speaking from a personal perspective in that statement, but it feels very personal. And it's easy to take on responsibility for how other people are, like, we try and control how they act because we don't like the way that it's making us feel. All of this is just part of being human, and I'm navigating this just like you are. I don't think that I'm better. I've said this again and again. Like, I'm not better than you. I'm not trying to talk down to you about this. Like, I'm just giving you my perspective, and you're allowed to have your perspective. You know, I've learned to base my life on my core values and stand up for what I value. And right now, I value inclusive recovery, empathy, forgiveness, grace, and the intrinsic value in being human. You are allowed to determine your own core values, and you are allowed to stick around or not. That is your choice, and I'm not going to fight you either way. Your decision to do that is your choice, and it's not about me. It's about how you feel and what you believe and what's best for you. Being asked to acknowledge your flaws is not abnormal, but pretending that you don't have any flaws is. That is the biggest thing I've learned about shadow work, is that we are all flawed, but in turn, none of us are broken. We are all human. That's all I have for today. Be weird, be kind. Bye.